children, so while we are going through any atlas or a map, we will be having some horizontal lines as well as vertical lines. So those horizontal lines are called latitudes and those vertical lines are called longitudes. So we will be having a network of latitudes as well as longitudes, that is called grid. So that is called what, children? Grid. So we will be having a network of both the latitudes as well as longitudes. That network is called grid. So what is the use of this grid? So by using this grid, we can know the exact location of any country or any place. So what we can do? We can know the exact location and address of any country. So if we can know, if we open any atlas, we will be having, if we search any country, so in that we will be having this information: country's name, place, latitudes and longitudes. So latitudes and longitudes, we will be having it like this: 58 degrees east, 90 degrees north. So we will be having indication like that. So with that we can know the exact location of any place, or else we can know the direction of any place also. For example, if I am here, if I want to go to some place, if I have the exact latitude and longitudes measure, then I can know in which direction I have to travel. So that is the use of grid. Now what we are going to do is that we are going to discuss latitudes and longitudes in detail. So first we will start it with latitudes. Latitudes are nothing but the imaginary horizontal lines which are drawn on the map or a globe. If you observe, children, so what I am saying is imaginary lines. So if we take a look at our earth, we will not be having lines on our earth. So what we are doing it? So for our convenience, these are imaginary lines. So actually if we go on earth and if we see, we will not be having latitudes and longitudes. These are imaginary lines. So what is the definition of latitudes, children? So latitudes are the imaginary lines which are drawn on the earth. So horizontal lines these will be. So the shape of these latitudes, it will be circles. So since we will be seeing one half of globe itself, we will be having semicircle shape, but actually the latitudes will be full circles. So the shape of latitudes, it will be circle. So in that latitudes, we will be having one center place, we will be having one center latitude, that is called equator. That is called equator. That we will take it as 0 degrees latitude. That we will take it as 0 degrees latitude, and the area which is on top part, so which is towards the northern side, it's called northern hemisphere, and the area which is towards the southern side, it's called southern hemisphere. So we will be having two poles, north pole on top and south pole at bottom. So northern side it's called northern hemisphere, southern side is called southern hemisphere. So totally in northern hemisphere we will be having 90 latitudes. In northern hemisphere we will be having 90 latitudes. So in the same way in southern hemisphere also we will be having 90 latitudes. So in that 90 latitudes, so totally if we take 90 in northern hemisphere and if we take 90 in southern hemisphere and if we take equator, so we will be having totally 181 latitudes including equator. So if we exclude equator, then we will be having totally 180 latitudes. So in that latitudes, we will be having few main latitudes. So we will be having latitudes like Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Arctic and Antarctic. So we will be having few main latitudes in this. The biggest latitude is present near equator. So that equator itself is the biggest latitude. As we start moving towards the poles, we will be having the latitude size decreased. So we will be having the size of latitudes decrease. So size in the sense, since these will be circles, radius will be decreased, and if we go to the north pole, then we will not be having a circle there. There we will be having just a dot. So in the same way, once we are going to the southern hemisphere also, as we moving towards equator to southern hemisphere, the radius of these latitudes will be decreased. So as we go to the southernmost part, so south pole we will be going at. So as we move towards the south pole, then we will be having no circle shape of latitudes, just a point we will be having at south pole. So moving towards this next concept, which is longitudes. So these are imaginary lines which are drawn vertically on globe or a map. So just like we have 0 degrees latitudes, so we will be having a 0 degrees longitude also. The longitude which will be passing through ring, Greenwich, which is present in London. So that we have taken as 0 degrees longitude, or we call that as prime meridian. Whatever area which is on the eastern side of longitude, 0 degrees longitude, is called eastern hemisphere, and whatever area which is present on the western part of Greenwich is called western hemisphere. So totally 4 hemispheres we will be having it. So northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, eastern hemisphere and western hemisphere. So when it comes to longitudes, in western hemisphere we will be having 180 longitudes. In western hemisphere we will be having 180 longitudes, and when it comes to eastern hemisphere also, we will be having 180 longitudes. So totally we will be having 360 longitudes, including the meridian which will be passing through Greenwich. When it comes to the shape of longitudes, the longitude shape is not circle, it's semicircle. What is it, children? The shape of longitudes is semicircle. So this is our today's class, children.